we were like, could we do that?
Yeah.
No, I couldn't let myself do it. I had to fix it because now that I knew about it, I just not that type of person where I'm gonna let it fly. It cost me $15,000.
Wow. What up, everybody? Dylan here. We got Dirty Daryl and Big Carlos. And this is Generation H! Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button before we get started. So today we're going to talk about properties that we've done in the past and either what we've accomplished on a specific property and the biggest problems we've had with that property, or our best, most profitable property, whether that be a flip, whether that be a refinance, or whether that be a wholesale deal where someone makes $25,000 or a flip where someone makes $200,000. I don't know which one it is, but so with that being said, anything else to add?
I think
I can't wait to hear what y'all got to say.
I know we've kind of talked about it, but I'm curious to know which one our favorite and our least.
I guess
favorite.
we could go both. We could go least favorite.
Oh yeah.
Let's do the most problematic / least favorite, least profitable, whatever. First, easiest, most fun, most profitable.
Okay.
Nice.
And whether you still what you did with it today.
Who wants to go first?
Let's all go worst first.
Okay.
All right.
And then we'll all go best.
Cool.
All right.
You guys got the ones in mind?
All right. So rock paper scissors or who?
Yeah.
All right. Rock paper scissors shoot. Oh wait, that's the 3-way. Rock paper scissors shoot. Boom.
Bam.
Right.
Carlos is up.
Oh, I win.
No,
So
he
you
won.
two.
So
It's
okay.
you two. Not as you two.
All right. Rock paper scissors shoot.
Got it.
All right. You go
You're up.
first. And then you're next. I'm last. All right.
Nice.
All right, so I guess mine would be a property I bought here in Richmond, Southside. This was like 3 years ago, and this is the worst, most problematic deals. But bought it for $32,000. It's a tiny little house, $32,000, which was probably a little more than I should have paid at the time. It needed a full renovation, but when we got in there, I didn't do any inspection, which I still don't. But I didn't go in the crawl space or anything. We got in there. After we closed, termite damage all throughout all the joists. So we had to actually, and I did not expect this in my budget. We had to rip up all the floors, all the joists, replace all those. So first off, I went $10,000. I thought I was going to only spend like $15 on it. I ended up spending about $30. Yeah.
Doubled your.
And then,
So it's not a joke when people say you're going to double your budget.
Yeah, it's definitely not, especially when you're first starting.
And this was a $32,000 house, and you spent $30,000.
Yeah, so I was
renovation.
all in for 60.
Wow.
And on top of, and we'll make these kind of short, like do like 2 or 3 minutes each. But on top of that, when I went to refinance it, I thought it was going to be worth like 60 to 70. Came back at 40,000.
Is what your appraisal came in?
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
it would have worked
gosh.
out if you didn't invest that kind of money in like the termite damage repair.
And it's still,
appraisal was 40. I mean, he could only get 30
back out. So,
That's right.
And I think it wasn't really me overthinking the appraiser. I think the appraiser just, in my opinion, did terrible to comps. And I still think to this day that was still bad. It's probably worth but I kept it. I pulled out whatever cash I still had, and I still have it. My mortgage payment's super low. It rents for $900, so it still works out in the end. But I mean, it was not what I expected at the beginning.
And now it's appraised, or not appraised, but it
What did it
assessed
appraise
value.
Probably I could if I put it on the market and sold it, probably around 80, 90. So
that's not terrible then.
And that's what I think.
That's not a bad worst property, to be honest.
It just was terrible at the time where I had to leave that money in there. But I guess I didn't go in too deep of the renovations and the time it took and everything. But that was mine. All right, Daryl.
Nice.
Daryl's second. Yeah.
So my worst property is probably a flip that I did last year. 4119 Henshaw Street. I'll never forget that name. And no joke, I bought it and with a partner. And we went into it. We paid $105,000 for it, which wasn't a bad price. It was good. Plan was to spend $50,000 on everything. We get into it. We go over budget, We're into it probably like 70,000 just because of needed new plumbing that we weren't planning for, because the plumbing looked good, but of course, just like you, I didn't do an inspection, didn't go in the crawl space, didn't go in the attic. Come to find out, plumbing is bad. Electrical was good, so we didn't have to do anything there. Then we go and we replace the windows and the doors. They're replacing the windows and the doors. Poke your hole through the side, put your finger through the siding, all the way around the bottom. So it's either replace the hardywood plank siding. Come to find out, the hardywood plank siding that he used, you couldn't find anywhere. We searched everywhere for hardy plank siding. So guess what? Now I'm having to vinyl side the whole entire house. So vinyl siding. So I'm over budget already. Plumbing, vinyl siding. I tried to do as cheap as I could, but in order to still sell for $280s like I wanted to, I had to do nice bathrooms and things like that, nice kitchens. Yeah. So I'm already over budget. Yeah. We go to sell it. Gets better. We go to sell it. It gets under contract within 2 days. We're like, yes, it went $10,000 over asking price. So we're like, awesome. So we're all into this. We're all into this thing. Probably 210,000, 215,000 at this point. It sells for 260,000. So we're like, okay, after real estate fees and everything, we walk away with like $35,000. Yeah. It doesn't.
Did they get an inspection?
So they got an inspection. Inspection comes back. All floor joists are rotted out. The seal plate around the house rotted out. Ooh. And the band board rotted out. Ooh. How the siding guy doesn't catch this stuff, I have no idea. So now, guess what? Buyer backs out. So now we're stuck, no contract on the house, with this repair list of X amount of dollars, thousands of dollars. Yeah. So now we're like, do we put it back on the market and not fix these and just hope that someone doesn't do an inspection or waives it? Because last year, 2021, they waived inspection. So we were like, could we do that? Yeah. No, I couldn't let myself do it. I had to fix it. Because now that I knew about it, I just not that type of person where I'm going to let it fly. It cost me $15,000. Wow. 15. It was 70 floor joists. 70 floor joists, a band board, and a seal plate. So they had to jack the house up, replace the seal plate, replace the band board, and then sister 70 floor joists. Yeah, $15,000.
And did you put it back on the market?
And then I put it back on the market. We get no traction for like 5 days. And in 2021, 5 days is like crazy.
Because a lot.
Beforehand, we had it under contract in 48 hours with 6 offers. So we put it back on the market. We get no offers, and it's almost 7 days before we get an offer or an offer on it. Come in, our offer's $3,000 over asking price, which still good, but not that great. Yeah. After closing cost and everything, for one, this house took me 5.5 months because we were under contract. Then it took me 2 or 3 weeks to do it. Then we're back under contract, and they couldn't close for 45 days. So now, in that whole process, from the time we bought it to the time we sold it, 6.5 months, we made $18,000. Wow. So I had a partner, so I made $9,000 for 6 months worth of work. Wow. It was horrible. It could have been worse.
Still made money.
I could have lost money. It could have been way worse. But
the market could have turned. Ooh.
Out of everything I've ever done, that is my worst project, or at least my worst flip that I've ever done. Yeah. So, what you got, Carlos?
Okay. So, for me, it hasn't been that bad on the front end during the renovations, cost-wise, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And some deals I do have to leave money in it, but just like in this case. But for me, it was more on the back end. So to preface, bought a house. It was on the MLS. I bought it for a pretty decent deal. Put some money into. I think I bought it for about like 112. I put, let's call it 200 all in, and everything went relatively smoothly. It took a lot longer than we should have. Spent a little bit more money than I thought we were going to, but the usual stuff, right? When we ended up having to refi it, I had projected doing like I won't call it a jumbo, but I was projected doing like a portfolio loan and doing 2 together because I knew that I was gonna be over leveraged. Like it wasn't gonna do well. Yeah, so I was gonna do well on the other house. So I was gonna combine the 2 and then be able to kind of like come out even and come out okay. Didn't end up happening. Ended up having to leave. I think it was like $20,000 in the deal. So it's not bad because we ended up keeping the house. If we ended up selling it, it would have sucked, right?
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't have had anything out of it. But we ended up leaving $20,000 in the deal, and because we were already 20 under, we started to think about very creative options to like try to bring in as much gross income as possible. So I was convinced by a good friend to do a rooming house.
Me? Don't look at. I told you not to.
I didn't look at you. So it looked very promising based on the numbers, right? The position that we were in, we already were having to leave a bunch of money in it. So I was like, okay, well, if we provide a bunch of value to these prospective tenants and then do it as a rooming house, we're probably looking at walking away with like $1,500 a month, $1,200 to $1,500 a month in net income, right?
Yeah.
For that one property, which is insane and very
Awesome.
unusual for one house for you to do, right? So I was like, all right, so that's going to be a nice little catch me up to the $20,000 that we left. All right, so that didn't necessarily work out as planned because about 3 to 4 months in, we started to get all these stimulus checks that were coming out. So one of my tenants received a stimulus check, had a good old time, and ended up in the hospital and was not going to be released for a few months because he had OD'd.
Oh.
So I had 4 rooms that were occupied, 1 room that was vacant. He wanted to leave his stuff in it. We were okay with taking it out, but I just didn't want to throw a wrench into a rooming house situation.
Yeah.
So now I was already down, I think it was like $550, $600 in rent, right? So I was already starting to lose money. And then everything started to fall apart inside of the house. I mean, they tried to burn down, not intentionally, but the house almost got burned down because there were arguments between themselves. They were trying to not pay rent because of arguments between themselves, not being a good environment to live in. I mean, it's just a bunch of things. At the very end, some of them ended up moving out early, so we didn't end up getting rent. One person ended up moving out late because she just couldn't find a place to go because of COVID restrictions, masks. She wasn't vaccinated. And then I had one tenant that I think it was for the last 4 months didn't pay rent at all just because he had personal situations. So basically, the house fell apart after the fact.
Yeah.
So
you lost money and then lost more money.
I lost money and
then you had to put more money into it, fixing it up.
And then
too,
I had
right?
to spend, I think it was like $7,200 in order to fix it back because they ruined the trim, doors. I mean, it was a mess. So I had to spend and lost rents. I mean, it was just like a lot of money. It was like $7,200 in lost rent and getting it turned altogether. So that was probably my worst experience. Now, no, it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
We have a single family in there. They pay rent on time, and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
So that was my worst case scenario.
So takeaways from these 3 things: real estate's pretty forgiving in a good market. If it was a bad market when this stuff happened,
It would be
crushed. I would have lost money in mine.
Yeah, so we all got lucky, and luckily, me and Carlos kept ours, and they built back up. Daryl didn't lose anything actually. He gained money, but didn't make as much as he hoped.
Got a big lesson.
Oh, hey, we went into it thinking we were going to make $60,000.
Yeah.
Like, that's how crazy it is. We were going to make 30 each, and then that dwindled to 9 each.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So on the next episode, we're going to talk about our greatest victories.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that we've been in this business for a long time. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. You're
It
going to
doesn't matter
have
how
a worse
prepared you
house
are. Yeah.
no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
I mean, you were probably, 10, 15 flips deep? Like, you had done quite
I
a
had
few.
done 21 in
You had done
that
21.
year. And that was the last one of the year last
And it
year,
fell apart.
and it screwed me completely. Yeah. And it was supposed to have closed last year, and it ended up closing this year at the beginning of this year.
See.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to pay taxes till the end of this year.
Yeah.
True that.
Cool. So on the next episode, tune in for our greatest properties,
Yeah.
least amount of headaches and most fun.